That's what I'm talking about.
So hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tubifi webinar, How to Create Affordable Advertising to Drive Revenue. My name is Dave McCormick, and I'll be your moderator. And in the next 45 minutes, Ian Brower and Micha Barnum are going to discuss the importance of impactful video and how to use video and measure its effects in your communications efforts. Now, before we get started, I want you to please take a look at your GoToWebinar controls. You should see a chats/questions box, and if at any point during the presentation you have a question for our presenters, please feel free to type them into that box. We'll answer the questions during the presentations, and questions we don't get to we'll keep on file and answer for you later on. So I'd like to start by introducing our two presenters and presenting you with some quick bios. We'll start with Ian Brower. Ian is the Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of Tubifi. He's formerly an Executive Creative Director at Ogilvy & Mather, and he has over 30 years of experience in advertising. He's worked on many global accounts, including BMW, Swatch, Perrier, Vodafone, Cadbury, Kraft International, Ford, and Barclays Bank. His work has also been celebrated with awards, including the Clios, Sharks, Loeries, and recognition in New York and the Cannes festivals. Our other presenter today is Micha Barnum. He's the VP of Sales and Business Development at Tubifi. Micha's focus has been on innovative solutions in the digital media space. He has over 15 years' experience in the media, technology, and finance industries, and he initiated Avid Technology's first ever integration between the leading video editing toolset and the leading stock footage providers to drive down costs and unleash creative possibility. He's led various innovations for the media creation space in collaboration with leading industry technology partners and the MIT Media Lab. And Michael holds an MBA from MIT's Sloan School of Management. We'll begin our presentation today with Micha Barnum. Hello, Micha.
I think this will be a really enjoyable presentation today. I really look forward to sharing our insights on creating video ads and the climate that we're in today, and really look forward as well to hearing everybody's thoughts who's joining the call. We have a pretty diverse audience, and I think that's going to really add to the discussion. So I'd like to start off by playing an example of a video, and we're going to talk a little bit about the significance of this in a little while. Okay, great. So today we're going to talk about several aspects of video. And the first is, do you really need video? At this point in your marketing strategy, some of you may be using video already. Some of you may be wondering, do I need to make a shift to video? Is it enough to follow the existing marketing strategies that I have already? And then we're going to talk about how to make video affordable and how to make high-impact video. And then once you have a video, talk about how then do you distribute it? How do you get your video out where people can see it, and how do you measure its impact? We're living at a really interesting time. We're living at a time that I like to call a perfect storm because of several technology enablers that are going on in the world. We have this rapid growth of mobile devices, smartphones and tablets, 500 million smartphones being sold a year, and the whole category of tablets just developed a few years ago, now having an unprecedented adoption rate. At the same time, we have broadband and 3G networks that allow streaming video content, and we have the explosion of social networks, the Facebook phenomena, and the other LinkedIn and other social networking sites that are available. And all these things tie into a pervasive use of video and the power of viral video sharing. You know, we're witnessing these technology enablers leading to a societal shift, an attention shift from when people used to tune in at the same time every night to TV stations, perhaps read the same newspapers and magazines. The advertising strategies of those days, of course, are rapidly adopting to this new world where there's a attention shift to going online, people using Facebook and Twitter, people spending their time on mobile devices to consume content and on tablets. So in this new world, video is voice. Video is a way to engage these audiences. Video is really the new ticket to play as we're going to look at a few data points about the pervasiveness of use of video in marketing campaigns. How video is a key enabler for search engine optimization strategies, how it's key to jazzing up your email and getting a higher performance for your email marketing campaigns, how it's essential in social media marketing campaigns, which is a topic that's very important to a lot of the people on the call today, and how it's an essential element of every website. Your website represents you. When people come to your website, are they being engaged? A video increases engagement across all of these key internet marketing channels. So let's talk about search engine optimization for a moment. You know, if any of us could get a 5 or 10% uplift in a lot of our marketing strategies, we would probably be pretty pleased. If we look at some Forrester research that was done by Nate Elliott, video increases the chance of a front-page Google result by 53 times. Just a phenomenal improvement in search engine optimization. Any of us that are out there thinking about how do I get my SEO numbers up, we really don't want to be without video. We want to have our website found. Video results appear in about 70% of the top 100 listings. And I think Bruce Clay, a SEO guru, sums this up nicely. If your competition has a video and you don't, the competition wins. So I think we're going to see video on almost every site that at least wants to rank. So video is an essential part of any SEO strategy. So what does video do for your website? According to ComScore, retail site visitors who view video stay 2 minutes longer on average and are 64% more likely to purchase. Just a huge improvement in engagement. If we think about how we want to manage well the mind share of senior decision makers that come to our website, there's some great research by Forbes Insight that 59% of senior executives prefer to watch video instead of reading text. So why don't we put that perfect sales pitch into a video form to consistently provide a high engagement way to sell our company or sell our services or our products. 80% of executives are watching more online video today than they were a year ago. Video is catching on. Video is very important. Video improves website engagement. Thinking about email marketing. Email marketing is still one of the staples of our marketing campaigns. I think in a recent study, some 36% or 39% of executives said that email marketing was their #1 advertising strategy. The next highest score was down around 24% for search, and then it goes down into 10% numbers. So for most people, for most companies and most marketing managers, email marketing is still the meat and potatoes. And when we're working on email marketing, we want to drive those open rates up. We want to drive up click-through rates. We want to bring down the bounce rates. We want to increase the sharing with forward rates. We want to grow our lists, and we want these metrics to all be working together to drive sales. Again, if we could get a 5 to 10% improvement in any of these numbers, we'd probably be happy. We'd feel like we're making great progress in a mechanism that's pretty mature. And yet Forrester research says that video increases email click-through rates by 200 to 300%. It's just much more engaging. There's much more credibility being attributed to an email that has a video link or a video player embedded. According to Eloqua, video in an introductory email campaign led to a 75% reduction in subscriber opt-outs. A great way to preserve the value of your lists. And the number of marketers planning to use video in email campaigns has increased 500%, 5 times in the past year. So we see, thinking about email marketing effectiveness, video is essential. And finally, what about social marketing? How does video impact that? The term viral marketing was coined some time ago by Professor Jeffrey Rapoport in a Fast Company article called The Virus of Marketing, where he illustrated the concept that These were marketing campaigns that used existing social networks to create brand awareness. And that was before a lot of the enablers really came to life that now make this a powerful reality. Now we're living in a world with 400 tweets per minute that have YouTube links in them, 200 billion videos viewed online in the past month. And the video that has had the most views, Charlie Bit My Finger, is now up to 282 million views. And maybe after this call it'll jump another couple of views, if anybody hasn't seen Charlie Bit My Finger yet. But video is easily shareable and it's high engagement, and those are the two factors that are critical in viral marketing. So video is effective in at least these 4 video channels, and you can also think about the unfolding world of ad servers and ad exchanges, where you can make put your video in front of third-party content on Hulu and YouTube, and paid content and things like that. But how does video affect people moving through your funnel as they go from prospects and you want to move them toward customers? So thinking about a typical marketing funnel, the video, as we saw, is very important for getting awareness. It gets attention. It's important for SEO. It generates interest. It's engaging. It takes you from awareness to interest with a high engagement factor. It's very easy to learn product benefits. So we think about that perfect sales pitch that you captured with video, or that great product demonstration. Very engaging, very easy for people to just watch, hear what you have to say, and absorb the key data points of why they should try your product. Increases likelihood to try. Very important, the referral aspect of this is very easy to recommend. People may not be very quick to share a link to your website, but if you have a video, it's a very engaging video, very interesting video, very easy for somebody to share that to their friends. And video builds your brand. There's a number of studies that talk about the credibility that's established when people see good quality video. So video aids in every step in the conversion from prospect to customer. Which then begs the question, okay, I can see the value of having a video, but how good does my video need to be? Which will tie in nicely to some of the things that Ian is going to talk about how to make great video and how to do it affordably. But when you're asking that question, how good should your video be, there's 2 questions that I find helpful. First, how valuable is your brand? Because all of our customers, all of us, and I'm not the youngest generation out there, the generation after me is even more true to this point, that we're all video experts. We can be flipping through the channels on our TV, and instantly we know when it's bad quality video. We know when it's bad lighting. We know when it's the local used car guy commercial on cable access TV. We just detect it instantly. And there's a number of studies that show that customers who see high quality video attribute that to the brand of the company that the video belongs to. They see that company as more credible and more trustworthy, as enduring, just like a good quality website can appear. And then the question is, how important is your ROI? You can save money on video perhaps by making a very inexpensive video, and that may work for SEO. It may help you get found by people who are looking for your product, but if the clicks turn into bounces, you're not getting the ROI that you really want. You're missing some big opportunities. As a quote that I like from Bill Bernbach, the influential ad legend who helped VW penetrate the U.S., if your advertising goes unnoticed, everything else is academic. And then what is the definition of good? Good needs to elevate your brand. It needs to resonate with your target market, and it needs to be effective. It needs to have impact. So good video gets great results. So some tips on what to avoid as you go searching for perhaps strategies for how to make your own video, or companies that can help you make a video. I have a little cheesy video awards segment here that I think is kind of fun to illustrate some of these points. That basically you want to engage your customers. Don't enrage them with tedious video or bad video. So here comes the award-winning cheesy videos. So animated photo montages. There's a number of companies out there that will let you simply upload still images, and they'll do a little animation so it feels a little bit like a video. It's a cheap solution. It's easy to do, easy to make a video that way, but the impact is, it's pretty low impact. I think any of us that see a video like that will recognize this is not a very engaging type of video. Another one is clip art video, which is kind of like a glorified PowerPoint. Yes, it's a video, but it's it's pretty basic. It's maybe if your customers are already dedicated to your brand, it could be helpful to use a video like this to demonstrate features. But if you're trying to attract new prospects and turn them into customers, if you're trying to engage, if you're trying to leverage the power of viral marketing, the clip art video doesn't really do it for you. Likewise, low quality video that's shaky, that's grainy, that's bad lighting, bad acting, people detect those things instantly. Stay away from long videos. For most marketing videos, for people coming to your website or videos and email campaigns, 30 seconds to a minute pretty much does it. For companies that want to put their video in front of third-party content, the standards these days are 15-second videos or 30-second videos. And keep in mind that YouTube is allowing a lot of these to be clickable now, skippable now. So you really want these, if you go that route, you want them to be high engagement and not too long. And then avoid dry videographer segments. We all think our own business is, extremely exciting, and each one of in our company is extremely exciting. But when we put these videographer segments in front of our prospects, they don't always resonate so strongly. So elevate your brand. High impact video, as you're going to find out very soon, is very affordable. So I'd like to turn over the presentation to Ian, who's going to talk about how to create high impact video that is also very affordable.
And Dave, if you'd be so kind as to click on the second link, please, ladies and gentlemen.
The human body is amazing. It's capable of extraordinary deeds. It can make wonderful objects and fantastic machines. But it is fragile. Accidents do happen. Impairment Solutions, a division of EME International Incorporated, is a medical cost containment program. We employ unique software features that allow the evaluator to make accurate, informed decisions. For over 10 years, we provided an invaluable service to industry by reviewing a doctor's medical report that contains an impairment rating. The EME expert medical team comprises a cadre of physicians that correct the mistakes found in physicians' reports. Recent studies show that 8 out of 10 impairment ratings have fundamental errors that render the IR higher, so settlement costs increase. In today's economy, it is a very expensive mistake. Luckily, it's avoidable. EME Impairment Solutions. Accidents happen. Mistakes shouldn't.
Hi, this is Ian Brower. Thank you, firstly, for your kind attendance so far. For many years, I was creative director of Ogilvy and Mather in Brussels and Dublin, and I did many commercials for big brands. And in the process, spent many millions of client dollars and months in production. Now, I don't believe this was time or money wasted, but that was then, and this is now. The world has changed. People no longer watch the same things at the same time. Online, TiVo, and social media have changed all of that. And when you consider the extent to which the media landscape has changed, you realize that mass media no longer really exists, except for the Super Bowl and a few rare live events. All the aforementioned media channels, especially online, have taken care of that. And in 2012, online video will be a $40 billion market with no signs of slowing down. Now, to my mind, this means only one thing. Production costs have to come down because it costs so much less to communicate online. But quality has to stay up. If it's cheap and dull, it's a false economy, even if it's costing you $100. So clearly, to my mind, again, your video has to be both impactful and affordable. If you accept that all top websites must have video to compete and that it must be engaging, then you have to ask yourself, does producing top quality have to be an expensive business? And now I believe we're getting to the heart of the matter. Pardon me. How do you cut down on cost and time without compromising on quality? How do you ensure that you get a good return on your investment and drive revenue? The answer, like many good ideas, is a surprisingly simple one. And it's this. Everything that's expensive to shoot already exists, and it exists in easily obtained click-of-the-mouse format. Now, to many people, stock imagery is an afterthought. It shouldn't be. There's a great library of images out there. There's superb work that comes from great filmmakers and wonderful films. Why not use it? Let me give you an example. Think what it would cost to shoot a helicopter scene of New York City or Paris or Boston. You'll need the city's permission. You'll need a helicopter. You'll need a pilot. You'll need skilled cameramen. You'll need a crew. The cost, well, put it this way, you'll need lots of zeros on your checkbook, all for a few seconds of film. On the other hand, take a look at some of the stock libraries, something I urge you to do. You can buy high-quality footage of scenes exactly like that for 90 to 95% less. You can get some for $5, which means you can choose the one that best suits your needs and your budget. Now, from a client's point of view, and I'm sure there are many clients out there, and this is an emotional thing, this is a godsend, because unlike the traditional video production process, which goes from script to storyboard, to hiring a director, to casting actors, then shooting and editing, one actually can go from a script to an actual film. 2 steps, not 5 or 6. And it takes days, not weeks or months. So a client sees an actual movie with voice and music and graphics, not a drawn storyboard. Which means you can make a real judgment without having to take this massive leap of faith. Now, when I was working in Brussels, I have a scary story. Well, it scared the life out of me anyway. I was doing a big budget commercial for a large telecoms company. The budget was around $1 million, which is a huge amount for a small market. Now, we'd written the script, we got the client's approval, we picked a top director, and months later we saw the first edit. We hated it. It's not what we or our client had in our mind. And the client was due in 1 hour. What followed was a huge fight with the director, who finally stormed out, and we were left to edit the film ourselves. Now, it all ended fairly happily, but that would never happen if we could have seen the images beforehand. And this is where stock footage can begin to replace production. Stock is our stock in trade, and you'll forgive the very bad play on words. What already exists is our starting point. That's one way we can deliver real value. Then we have videographers to shoot the simpler, less expensive setups. The technology is there to help the creative and production process and to drive down costs. With this innovative process, great videos can be made for as little as $5,000 to $10,000. So my view is this: you want a good return on investment with much lower risk. I say use it. It's insane not to. We have access to millions of clips through partnerships with the leading content providers. And we've got creative people from around the world, and I mean that, from Boston, LA, London, Cape Town, to make these ideas come to life. And we've got editors to do likewise. But of course, wonderful images are just that. They're just images. What they need to become commercially viable is an idea, a strong, simple idea. And now I'm going to talk about ideas and execution. And clearly, video starts with a great idea, and equally clearly, whenever people find out what I do, which is being a creative director, they ask the same question. How do you come up with ideas? A creative idea is an inventive response to a business problem. No more, no less. It's not some mysterious bit of alchemy. It's not wizardry. It's a discipline. It's a story that sells a product, pardon me. And how well you tell that story defines how engaging and persuasive your video will be. Which brings me on to the incredibly important issue of execution. Now, ideas are revered in the advertising industry, and in my view, rightly so, and it's a big, resounding but, an idea is nothing until you execute it properly. I'm going to take an extreme example. Time travel is a great idea. Has anyone made it work? Not by a long shot. We're light years away. And the same is true of advertising. Clearly, you need an idea to start with. But unless you execute it with skill, it remains nothing more than an incomplete thought. The music and images you weave together, the nuances of editing, the voiceover you choose, all contribute to making an idea come to life. Without the craft of film, an idea, no matter how great, how memorable, simply dies on the vine. It's execution that turns ideas into compelling communication and a wonderful business tool. And that is the power of having these wonderful existing images. And that's why using what's already there makes so much sense from a creative and financial point of view. I'm now going to hand you back to Micha, who's going to talk about the critical importance of distribution and utilizing and measuring your video properly.
Great, thanks Ian for that. So now we know that video is important. We've gone through the process of creating a great video. What do we then do with it? The primary thing that most people do is put the video up on their website. So they're leveraging the ability to have people that are looking for them, find them through SEO, come to the website, and have a high engagement way of understanding what their company is all about, what their key products are about. Maybe they're going to a landing page, maybe they're going to the website directly. But how does it work? How do you have a video play on your website that isn't affected by traffic to your website, isn't affected by the type of service provider you have managing your website? This is all done through an online video platform. For example, Tubifi has a leading online video platform that does this as well, that basically will take your video, transcode it in up to as many as 9 formats, and then detect how are people going to watch that. Where are people coming from geographically, and what kind of device are they on? What kind of bandwidth do they have? What browser are they on? So it can make decisions about whether to serve up a flash video or an MP4 or an M3U for iPads. And all these decisions are made in real time for each person who will be experiencing this video, each person who's viewing the video for your site. Our online video platform includes, and OVPs generally include, a content delivery network, so that videos are cached in places that are geographically very accessible to the viewers. So if you're in New York and your viewers in LA, your video is likely cached somewhere where it will be not affected by a lot of the traffic going on in New York. So it takes the worries out of managing video for your websites. Now, there's a lot of free online video platforms out there. You may have heard of a few of these. YouTube's pretty popular these days, MetaCafe, Vimeo. And these online video platforms, of course, are a great way to distribute your video as well. But I wouldn't think about this as an either-or decision, as should I put the video on my website or on YouTube. You really want to leverage both channels. Both channels have different benefits that are cumulative, that are aggregated together for you. Your website will have better branding. When you have the video player embedded in your website, when they click that video, they won't be taken off your website to the YouTube website. YouTube would allow possibly competitors' branding to show up while somebody's viewing your video. So really, when you're doing email campaigns, when you're promoting your website, you want the video to be embedded in your website, but you also want to leverage YouTube and these other channels as an additional way to build awareness for your company, make it easier for people to associate a search that they're doing with your company and engage you. So in summary, online video platforms like YouTube are free, the branding's not quite as effective, and they may have other companies' ads. Then there's email campaigns. Basically, there's 2 ways to put video in your email campaigns. You could simply have a link to the video that says click this link, and the link can take your prospect to a landing page with a video player embedded in it. Basically, it looks like a web page with a big play window. Or you can actually embed a picture of a play window right in your email. This is what I think is a lot more effective. It's much more visual, much more engaging, and when they click on the play in the video, it can take them to the player, which actually plays the video. And again, it's your online video platform that's hosting that video, whether it's being played from a link on your website or from a link being sent out in your email. And then, of course, you want to be able to leverage the power of social networks. If you have a Facebook site for your company, if you can leverage that to be able to share links to your video, and if it's very engaging, then maybe there's that chance that it goes viral. Maybe there's a chance that it really takes off. And as we touched on briefly before, there's this rapidly evolving world of ad server technology. I think 5 billion video ads were viewed last month. And ad server technology is a big part of monetizing the videos that are being watched. So when people go to Hulu or they go to YouTube and they're watching paid content or they're watching very popular content, your ad could be, when you make a video, you could use that video as pre-roll, where you pay either based on a CPM basis, a cost per 1,000 people that see it, or a cost, there's metrics that are evolving that are more effective actually than CPM, but that's kind of an example of how it works. So you pick a target demographic that gets matched to a certain programming, and your video ad gets served to these audiences, pretty pain-free. So video enables all these distribution options. A video can take your company a place that no salesperson can ever go. And then the very powerful thing about internet video that didn't exist on broadcast TV, it's actually cheaper to make video now. You can reach people better, but you can actually measure the impact a lot more effectively than ever in the past. Performance metrics are essential to be able to learn from your experience and to make better video, to tune it better to the market segments you're going after, to tune your promotions, to really synchronize your sales and marketing efforts, and to let video be a part of engaging and also measuring the effectiveness. So some key metrics that we like to think about, I like to bucket them into three large buckets of, I call entry, how many people are exposed to the video and actually watch it. So your email campaign goes out, how many, if you sent it out to 5,000 people, how many people clicked the link and actually had an opportunity to see the video. And then engagement, as they watch the video, how much do they watch? If you visualize a 30-second video and kind of a timeline on the x-axis, like is shown here on this graph, and the percent of people that stay watching your video on the y-axis, this can be a very important way to say how effective is your video. Is there a certain part where people are dropping off? Are they dropping off a couple seconds in and maybe you're not grabbing them up front very well? Are they all dropping off somewhere around 5 seconds in, 10 seconds in, where there's a certain clip that maybe is taking them away from your main message? And at some point in your video, hopefully, you have a call to action. Maybe it's a button that they can click. Maybe it's a phone number you want them to call. Maybe it's a white paper you want them to download. But measuring these call to actions are a very important method as well. Measuring the impact of your video. So how many had a chance to see your video? How many were entered that pipeline? How engaged were they? How much of the video did they watch? And how many responded to that call to action? And what was the result? Did your target get reached in terms of white papers downloaded, in terms of people reacting to that 20% discount or that promotion that only runs through August, act now? Now there's a lot of things, there's a lot of additional pieces of data that are out there, and it's growing continually as video marketing gets more prolific and continues to evolve. But for example, things that exist in the data now that you can see about the types of people that are coming that you can parse your metrics by include what kind of device are they reaching you on? Are they coming on an iPhone, an iPad? What kind of browser are they on? Where in the country are they coming from? What server are they on? A lot of the times large company servers have the name of the company. Larger companies have servers that are named after their company, so you can actually tell what company they're coming to you from. Where they're referred to. If you're running promotions in different areas, you can trace the links and be able to know who referred that person to see your video. And even things like screen resolution. And things that are unfolding include a lot of context-based information. Where was somebody before they came to your site that can tell you a little bit about them and possibly give you an opportunity to give them a choice of videos based on the types of people you're marketing to. So the metrics are powerful. They enable rapid improvements in video making. And if you combine that with an agile, affordable way to make video, if you can make a video in a week or 2 weeks, put it out there. It's very affordable. You can take a risk, try a few versions with different market segments, do some A/B testing, maybe make 2 versions of the video and put it out. These metrics can then tell you what's effective and help you continue to build progress on your campaigns. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dave to play another video example.
start from the very beginning.
And I hope that those 3 videos give you an idea of how accessible high-impact video can be using the innovative processes that we're talking about today. Using stock footage supplemented by a videographer to be able to make video quickly, but to make good quality video. We'd like to now turn this over to all of you for your questions. So please type in your questions in the chat window on your GoToWebinar. And we won't be able to get to all of these, unfortunately, but hopefully we get a good variety that we can pick some of the ones that are most recurring and are at the top of everybody's minds and really dig into those a little bit. So one question is, what would be the best approach for a video on a student budget? And that's a great question, and that alludes a little bit to Ian's point that the prices for stock footage vary very widely. Video can be as inexpensive as $5 a clip and go up to, you know, if you're buying red carpet moments, moments in time, sports highlights, news reels, and things like that, then the footage can get to be quite a bit more expensive, maybe in the $1,000 to $3,000 per clip range. But most of the video clips kind of come in at a budget of anywhere between $50 and $500. So if you're on a student budget, maybe you want to spend some time with stock video libraries that have a lot of very inexpensive content. And there are actually libraries out there that have smaller selections, but that actually do have free content or promotional subscriptions or promotional content. Our partner Pond5, for example, does offer promotional content from time to time that you can use in this way.
Okay. There are a couple of questions that I'm going to try and conflate. There's one question, how much of this was stock footage? The short answer is all of it was stock footage. There's another question that says, how long would be a good time frame for a good video to deliver a brand's vision, not a particular product? And I think if the brief is clear enough, and that's the key to anything, is for a client brief to be clear. If the brief is clear, I believe with our system that we can deliver a script within a matter of days and a video within a matter of, I would say, 10 days, maximum 2 weeks.
This is a good question. Do you recommend an information video, or does it need to be more salesy? And this depends specifically on your target market, your target audience. If your audience doesn't really know your brand very well, then you're kind of reliant on engaging them, then you really want it to be more informational. You want them to experience value just by watching your video and learning from it. I guess you can kind of make an analogy to this webinar. Should this webinar be more informational or more salesy? And of course, informational is respectful of your customer. It shows them that you want to provide something that is of value to them. But if, on the other hand, you're making a video for a dedicated customer base, people that have been with you for a long time, and you're offering a special promotion, or you're offering to try a new product or service that's out there, they'll be a little more tolerant toward a sales pitch if they're already in tune with who you are and what you're about. It's all about interpreting that context. But I would start, my default position would be, make it, think about what goes viral these days. Think about what people like to watch. Start with something that's just very engaging and either entertaining or informative or a combination of the two, and be very gentle with a sales pitch. One thing that I think is also very important is don't try to put too much into that sales pitch. If you can get one key point, if you can boil your brand and your essence and your message down into one point that resonates with your target audience that will be memorable, that's powerful because then they can respond to it. But if you have 2, 3, 5 points, the most important point gets kind of lost in that short time span, and it doesn't really give them a chance to act upon it.
There's another question here, but it's quite an interesting one. It says for television, the image shot changes on average every 3 seconds. Now, for online video, should the image shot change every every second or 2 seconds? It's an interesting question simply because we're living in this a kind of age of rapidly changing, very, very kinetic videos. And my answer is it really depends on the video, and it depends on the tone and the mood and style, and it depends on the idea. Some ideas would demand a much longer, more languid edit than others. On the other hand, if you have a very frenetic, or you wish to convey a very frenetic, upbeat image, it changes very rapidly. So I would love to give you a definitive answer, but I'm afraid it really depends on the tone and the idea, and in fact the brand image that you wish to present. There have been a number of questions of will this be available in PowerPoint, and I believe the answer is yes. I'm just looking through some of the others.
Here's a good one. For some small businesses, 10K is still a bit out of reach. How can we afford to do this? With Tubifi right now, we're able to do quite a bit in the 5K to 10K range, so it's not really just 10K. It's anywhere in that range. Really at 5K, you can do a great video. And then it gets a little higher if you add some sophisticated graphics work, or if the clips that you want to buy are those more expensive, more unique clips. But really 5K is a very accessible price point. And just to give you a thought of something to watch in the future, Tubifi is working on some exciting things that will make video even more accessible and more inexpensive in the future. So we'll just put a little thought out there. But the tools and the techniques are evolving constantly, and they're becoming more and more accessible.
Okay, there's another very good question here, which goes as follows. What if you're creating a video for a very specific brand and the footage you've envisaged is not available as stock footage? And this will happen frequently, and as I hope I said clearly in my address, everything that's expensive to shoot already exists. If you're talking about capturing a specific brand, whether it's a product shot or whether it's a factory, that can be done very inexpensively using a very kind of cut-down crew and a decent videographer. You can then augment that. You can augment that story with stock images, and this is what we recommend doing. Is that if it's expensive to shoot, use stock images. Things that are inexpensive to shoot can very easily be shot using videographers, and we have in and around 1,400 videographers at our disposal.
4,000 actually, across the U.S., Canada, and Europe.
My apologies, 4,000 apparently.
Here's a great question. This is really, really good. Don't you think that using stock footage changes your original vision, and even if the change is slight, how does this affect your advertising message? And this is a great point because I remember when we first started thinking about this concept, and a number of concepts that we've worked on with customers, we wondered, can this be done with stock? There was a classic example where Ian was working with a medical company, and the idea, the concept was, wouldn't it be great to have this guy, he's 40 years old, and he's blowing out 4 candles on a cake, celebrating basically 4 years of being healed from a life-threatening illness. And I said, well, Ian, that doesn't sound like a stock concept to me, but let's do a search. So we looked into our partners' databases, and sure enough, there's videos of a 40-year-old guy blowing out 4 candles on a cake. Now, how is that possible? That's possible when you have 3 million videos in these different libraries. We were doing an ad for a South African company and needed some South African footage. And I'm like, this sounds like another one that may challenge the stock footage concept. Did the search? It's there. Lots and lots of footage of South Africa. When you have 3 million clips, and these libraries are growing year by year, there's people all around the world shooting with HD cameras, professional videographers who want to monetize that content, who have it ready to use. And in a lot of cases, having that video available actually helps you build your concept. You usually start with kind of a high-level storyboard and idea, and as you see the video and kind of navigate it and start pulling clips into your timeline, it actually spurs your creativity, because instead of having to wait 3 weeks to shoot something or to sketch something, you see it in real time. You see the effect. You see, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. No, this doesn't work, but this other clip, this really has some potential. So it actually enables creativity as well.
It's actually a very interesting question. I'll try and answer it from a creative person's point of view. Does stock footage change your original vision? And even if that change is slight, how does it affect your advertising message? Now, normally when if for example, I work for Ogilvy and Mather, you start with a blank piece of paper and you could do whatever you wanted. You could respond to the brief in any way that you wished. It actually changes the creative process because you know pretty much beforehand what you have. You don't have a blank canvas, you have a very full canvas. So what it requires above all is a singular, simple message, a kind of call it a high concept idea that allows the vast number of images to be out there to service that idea. So yes, it doesn't affect your advertising message at all, but it does affect the way you have to approach it from a creative point of view.
Here's one. Do companies such as GoDaddy have OVPs? There's right now about 130 online video platforms out there that I'm aware of. So online video, you may have heard of some of the larger ones like Brightcove, and YouTube, of course, as a free online video platform. They tend to break into two types. Publishing types of online video platforms for very large enterprises with a lot of video to manage, and then more marketing-oriented ones. There's about 70 online video platforms that deal with more marketing-focused features and capabilities. Our online video platform is very tuned to marketing needs. It's about companies who want to use video in a powerful way, want video on their websites, want video in email campaigns, want video to be shareable on social networks. And there's a lot of those kinds of features you should keep in mind when you're thinking about using an online video platform.
There are two questions. Where do you get the resources for creating the videos? We have creative people, and we have graphics people, and we have editors, both in the States and in Ireland and pretty much around the world. And in effect, what we don't have are huge overheads, and that enables us to produce videos as cost effectively and efficiently and as quickly as we possibly can. Another question here is, will you provide stock footage and I can use my own videographer? The short answer is yes. What we can do is we can give you an idea around which stock footage can work with your local videographer. So that, again, is another example of the flexibility that I believe is important as the media landscape changes so dramatically. Another question here is, do you provide an end-to-end solution, contents, storyboarding, editing, and distribution? The short answer is yes, we do. What we don't do storyboards. We go from a script, which is then given to the client. We discuss it. Any changes are agreed. And then we go directly from a script to a low-resolution film with music and with a voiceover, and that replaces the storyboard. And that, to my mind, is a much more efficient way of working, number one, and a much more relaxing way of working for the client, because you're able to then judge something that's real. Yes, of course, we then edit, and as Micha has spoken, we distribute it ourselves. We have an OVP, and we can distribute that video wherever it is strategically deemed to be best. There's a question here. Can you give us time and budget for the 3 examples you showed? Yes, I'm happy to give you kind of, I suppose, figures of those. The first video was for Babson, and the price range was in and around I think between 4 and 7, and the time scale was roughly a week. The second one was in and around, it was a slightly higher cost toward the 10,000 EME, but that was done literally from initial brief to final delivery within 6 days. I got my editor saying 4 days. And the last one was for the STEM, and the budget was, I think, slightly lower than that, in around between 4 and 6, and the time scale was, I would say, 3 days. So I hope that answers some of your questions.
Here's one. What is the appropriate size to upload a video on the Facebook? And generally, Facebook is going to be viewed on your computer screens, on iPads, on smartphones. Facebook can handle larger resolutions. Really, an SD resolution is fine, but you can even download it, down-res it further. The real trick is when you're sharing video links is to make sure you're using an online video platform, so when somebody clicks the link, as we talked about, the online video platform will do the real work of decoding what kind of a bit rate can this person handle, and what's the resolution that I should deliver, so it's a great experience on that device. Here's one. Could you recommend some stock libraries for videos? We've partnered with some leading libraries that I've actually worked with for quite a while, even before Tubifi. I worked with Avid, who are just spectacular people. Thought Equity Motion and Getty Images have the largest libraries. A lot of the other libraries that are out there are actually resold through these companies. So Thought Equity Motion has reselling agreements for BBC Motion and HBO and ESPN. So they have an easy way to kind of integrate your search across a lot of the libraries that are out there. We like Pond 5 a lot as well. Has a lot of independent type of footage. Pond 5 screens the quality of the videos to make sure that when you're doing a search, you're going to find good content. It's not going to be a lot of teenagers shooting video on their flip phone and trying to make a buck off of it. It's all content that has been previewed for quality and for to make sure the digital rights are in place. That nobody's shooting a logo that's not been cleared with a company to approve it. So those kinds of things are managed when you buy stock video through these companies.
There's another good question. So there's stock images and stock video content. What about stock music? There is actually a huge amount of stock music, and it's become much better than it was. About 5 years ago, it was pretty awful, and really all you could get was the kind of stuff that you honestly wouldn't particularly want to use. But the stock music libraries these days are actually both extensive and quite eclectic. So you can get stock libraries of classical music. So all the wonderful Beethoven symphonies are actually available in the form of stock. There's some very good kind of rock and roll and folk music and ambient music. So there is almost as much good music out there as there are images. And the great trick, of course, is to play and see what music suits what image, and that's one of the creative joys of actually putting these things together is finding out which works best.
There's a number of questions relating to what kind of editing tools are out there. In the leading tools, I actually used to work for Avid Technology, which invented the nonlinear editor, which basically means the ability to edit on a computer instead of having to splice film together. So Avid was kind of the inventor with Film Composer, which became Media Composer, and actually the person who won an Oscar for the design of that is part of Tubifi now. Is on our advisory board. So Media Composer is kind of the most powerful tool out there. It's the predominant tool for feature films, primetime TV shows, and larger ad productions. What's really popular nowadays and growing is Final Cut Pro. I'm sure a lot of the editors who are on this call would recommend that tool. Although Final Cut Pro just made a major change where they've rebuilt their whole platform, and the features haven't totally migrated over to the new platform. So there's a number of tools out there for simple editing, Pinnacle Studio, iMovie, things like that. If you're dealing with graphics, you want to deal with After Effects is kind of the leading tool by Adobe. So there's a number of tools out there. Really, we try to let the editor pick his tool. We don't try to pick the carpenter's hammer or saw, because they'll be much more effective on a tool that they're comfortable with, that they know all the hotkeys for, that they know all the ins and outs and secrets of. But if you're just getting into video editing, Final Cut Pro is a powerful, easy-to-learn system. If you want something lighter weight, maybe Pinnacle Studio or iMovie or something like that.
There's another question I'd like to address very quickly. It says, how about voiceovers to the videos? Doesn't that add more to the cost of the videos? The short answer is yes, of course it does, but the good news is that there are literally hundreds of people willing to audition for between, I'd say, 100 up to 350. And literally you can get 50 to 100 auditions. You can choose the one you want. You can request that they do another take. So it is certainly a worthwhile investment in order to ensure that the entire video experience is a professional one, from the images to the editing to the graphics and of course to the voice.
Here's an interesting question. When you purchase a clip, can others purchase that clip as well? And the answer is yes. But when you're using a few seconds of a clip in the context of a story, the clip itself generally is, it's pretty unlikely that somebody will use that clip in a similar way that will be noticeable. When you have 3 million clips in circulation in these 3 libraries that we've talked about, and there's many more stock footage companies out there, I think there's I've seen about 120 stock footage companies, and I think there's more than that actually. There's so much footage out there that the likelihood of somebody buying that same clip and it actually being a company that's in your space is pretty unlikely. Now there are some companies that can give you the clip with exclusive rights. That's possible, but most of the time the clip is purchased with the ability for other people to use it as well.
What is Tubifi exactly is a very good question. We are, I believe, a new company for a new kind of world. We in effect create, produce, distribute, and measure videos in as collaborative, as cost-effective, and efficient a way as we possibly can. And having spent many, many years in advertising, I'm of the belief that it's time for a change. That there is now a time that we literally have to change the way that we produce things because the world is a different place. And so Tubifi, I believe, is this new kind of service for a new world. Pardon me while we just go through some of these other questions.
There's a question, how do you get the music to go along with stock footage? And we talked a little bit about that. We use predominantly the libraries of Universal Publishing's Killer Tracks library and Pond5's library as well. Pond5 has both video and audio as well as graphics templates and things like that. And those libraries are pretty extensive and have good search capabilities. So we really enjoy working with those libraries. There's a number of other audio libraries out there, and the trick I think with audio is to find libraries that have good search capabilities. Otherwise, you could spend a long time trying to find that right feel, that right rhythm, that right beat.
I have an Australian question that it's worth answering simply because I think he says in Australia I find the stock footage looks very Americanized. Do you have any ideas on how to make stock footage look more Australian? I do. Type in Australia. And I think you'll get right. Lots of Australian stuff. But pardon me being slightly flippant. There is a trick to searching for clips and searching for clips effectively and efficiently, and that is to be as specific as you can. So if you want a beach scene, don't type in beach scene, type in beach scene Australia or Bondi Beach, Australia, or more specifically if you want a mixture of men and women on Bondi Beach, type that in. So even though my answer was slightly flippant, it's actually behind that is quite a serious question, which is the best way to search for video is getting your keywords right and being specific. So the worst thing you can do, for example, is type in the word fish, because what you might get are people fishing, or you might get a picture of sushi. So, and knowing the tag words and the keywords to use, and this is really a matter of practice, is a very, very helpful one.
Here's a question. You mentioned Jeffrey Rayport as the person that coined viral marketing. Isn't he on Tubifi's board of advisors? Yes, he is. We're very proud of his support of the company, and his work on viral marketing is an inspiration for a lot of the things we do to try to make videos that have high viral impact. There's a question, how do you collaborate? I think Ian touched on that a little bit, where this process is more collaborative by far than any traditional custom production process because of those four main ways that we work with customers, starting with thinking about what their business is all about, getting a creative brief that understands their challenges, their market segments, their elevator pitch, what is it that they're trying to accomplish, and turning that into the perfect concept. Usually providing a couple of concepts, a few concepts, and then and feeling out which one will work best for a customer. Turning that into a script, coming back with that concept and script turned into a video. I use the word storyboard, but it sounds like Ian says this is really
no,
maybe that's a bad word to use.
It's a very bad word.
But a video draft, really, where you actually have an almost completed video production with all the video clips, the audio, the voiceover. You can see almost a finished product, but then being able to iterate with the customer on how to make it higher impact, how to address this doesn't feel quite right for the market segment. Can we do something different here? So it's a very collaborative process, and one that you really can't do in custom production without a customer sitting in the studio as you shoot different takes, over 2 weeks to 6 weeks. So this process is a lot more fun for customers, a lot more integrated, with directly with them.
There's another question. Would 5K be for a 30-second spot? Yes, it could be, and to be honest, it could be for something longer. It really all depends on the raw material costs and the amount of time that takes to edit. So it is entirely possible that one could do a 60-second spot for that amount of money. But of course, the more images you use, by definition, the more expensive it is. But I can but reiterate, it is infinitely cheaper than shooting from scratch.
There's a question: is there an OVP that you would recommend? And forgive me if I plug Tubifi here, but when I mentioned the 130 online video platforms, I'd actually met a lot of the leaders of those companies and evaluated a lot of the product features and capabilities. And the platform that Tubifi offers is designed in a way that really is tuned to marketing video. Marketing video for your website, for your email campaigns, for social sharing, and for getting on ad exchanges with direct links into key ad exchanges like Tremor and companies like that. And it's at half the price of a lot of competitive offerings. So if you go to Brightcode's website, their most inexpensive offering is, I think, $100 a month for the Express version, and ours actually starts at about $49 a month for up to 5,000 streams. So we're kind of untouchable in terms of feature and price. So apologies if it's self-promoting, but it's honest.
It's fair enough. There's a question here. Do you guys have some special sauce which allows you to create videos in 5 days at a terms of cost? We do, but tragically at this particular moment in time, it will have to remain just that, special. And much as I would love to go into chapter and verse, I can but say watch the space, because it is very special, and it is, we believe, very revolutionary, and I think it'll enable people with a visual eye and people with that lovely graphics touch and good writers and good art directors to truly express themselves. So thank you very much for that question.
We have somebody from the Philippines saying, do we have stock footage with an Asian flavor? Yes, we do. Would you like that to be flavored like balut or something different? Yes, when you have 3 million clips, the variety is very rich. And I think that the classic example is the one I mentioned, where when you're looking for a guy blowing out 4 candles on a cake and you find it, you realize the power of these libraries. 1 million is a hard number to grasp, but when you do these searches and you see what comes up, you realize there's a lot of creative power that's unleashed. And it is very global. There's videographers and producers around the world who are creating video and putting it up, making it available for people to reuse into these kinds of productions.
There's a very interesting question here, I think. What are your thoughts on purely graphic videos like kinetic typography versus video footage for effective marketing? If you do it well, typography on its own can be enormously powerful. It really can, but it has to be done very well. And I mean, some of my favorite ads are type only. So that is it can be a very inexpensive way of doing it. On the other hand, you have to do it very well, and that takes very, very, very skilled people to pull something like that off.
There's a question, what if you want an ALSI accent? The voiceovers can come from all over the world. So that's another way to search for voice talent, is to find it by male, female, age of the voice talent, accents. the tone of the voice talent. You want somebody who's serious, who's funny, who's sad.
Yeah, I mean, a company I use quite frequently, I think was in one of the questions, is Voice 123, and there you can specify accent, you can specify age, you write a brief specifying the kind of delivery you want, and you will get 50 auditions. So it's actually a wonderful way again of this collaboration coming together to make a very complex process as simple as it could possibly be, and that is our reason for being.
There's a number of questions asking how is Tubifi compared to other companies that do productions, online video advertising. I won't mention the names of the companies, but I think the easiest way to tell is to go to the libraries of these companies, go to their portfolios, and get an idea of what kind of work they do. There's a lot of companies that do things that are just simple videography or that are basic animations that are very affordable. Some of them actually do it as a subscription for their online video platform. You basically pay $100 a month or $50 a month, and you can have a real basic 30-second video. And these things help with search engine optimization, as we talked about, but they tend to be low engagement. And the real magic here is preserving your brand value and getting a good return on investment. Spend enough to be able to make a good video, one that really represents your brand well, and that will engage customers and convert them. That will have a call to action and that will drive a result for you, because that's really why you're doing this. You want the email marketing uplift, you want the website uplift, you want the social media marketing uplift. So really, you want a high quality production to do that. So always take a look at the company's portfolio and get a sense of the quality of work they produce.
David, I'm not quite sure how we are for time.
Well, we went a little over time.
Actually, we're well over time. and we still have tons of questions that we haven't gotten to. What we can do is we actually do keep a record of all of the questions. We can put together a little document answering them. I know people were very interested in getting the slide deck and also a recording of the presentation. So I propose that we send that out to everyone who signed up today. We could also send out the answers to the popular questions that we got.
So yes, thank you all very much for both your attention and your questions. I think we've run rather over time, but it was wonderful to talk to you, and thanks once again from both Micha and me.
Yes, thank you again,
everyone. We had our contact information up, and it's in the presentation, and we'll post on our website. Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Shoot us any emails of any questions that you may have. And we'd love to talk to you about your video marketing strategy and how you can go about in your next steps as you transition from a company that maybe doesn't make video today that would like to get started or that would like to up your game and really have some high impact video marketing. So thanks everybody. It was great to be with you today and really enjoyed the questions.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Dang, that's what I'm talking about.